I'm a lawyer in real life. I don't play one on television. I have now watched episodes 4 and 5 of Becoming Brigitte, which is the Candace Owens series where she allegedly proves that Bridget Macron is in fact transgender. I will tell you that episode 5 finally gave me something that I would consider evidence. And if I had not watched episodes 1 through 4, I might be impressed. But let's get into it. One of the hallmarks of all the episodes is that Candace talks a lot about information she's already told us, but I'm just going to focus on what I heard that was new. One of the things is that Alexander Banal, who was a security chief and chief of staff for Emmanuel Macron, they were so close, he had a residence in the presidential palace. And he's also a pretty bad guy, just like everybody else that she talks about, in that he was accused of dressing up as a police officer and assaulting a protester in Paris. The big revelation in episode 4 is about a woman named Veronique. Veronique is a transgender woman who in 1977 in France appeared in shadow on a television show. So we don't know what she looks like, but we can hear her voice. And according to Candace, they have determined that the voice of Veronique from 1977 is indeed the voice of Bridget Mcron.
C'est-à-dire que l'intégration se fait sans problème sur le plan individuel.
And there is another coincidence or odd connection. Jean-Michel Trudeau, Bridget Macron's brother, he married a woman by the name of Veronique Drew. So that is the odd coincidence that he married someone with the name Veronique, and this person, Veronique, appeared on a show in 1977 saying that she is transgender. And Candace also explicitly says in this episode that Jean-Michel Trudeau is Bridget Macron. So she has said this, and if it is false, it is defamatory, and it is certainly, I'm sure, a basis of the lawsuit, and I'm going to get back to the lawsuit. But she says it explicitly. She is not beating around the bush in episode 4. Moving on to episode 5, this is where we actually get some good, interesting information. So she dives into Veronique Drew and her marriage to Jean-Michel Trudeau. And they married in 1980. And people have interviewed Veronique Drew. So we know that she is an actual person. She actually exists. She says all of this information about Bridget being transgender, she says it's all nonsense. She does not support it, she does not condone it, and she did not offer any evidence that it was in fact true. She also says that Veronique Drew, the former wife of Jean-Michel, that she classed up after their divorce. And she says that Veronique Drew was told, a reporter, that Bridget told her not to get involved with this whole transgender theory that was going around. The important thing to know is that Veronique Drew married Jean-Michel Trudeau in 1980. They divorced in 1987. Bridget Macron's public life, according to Candace, as a teacher, appears in 1987. So Candace is making this connection that at the end of Jean-Michel Trudeau's divorce to Veronique Drew, suddenly Bridget appears, according to her, out of nowhere. That she had not been seen or photographed or heard from since she was that little girl in the communion photo. So here's the big piece of evidence. So Xavier Broussard, the journalist who has been investigating the Macrons and who also apparently believes that she's transgender, uses an AI tool to compare the photographs of Jean-Michel Trudeau from when he was a child and Bridget Macron from her communion photo to determine if the modern day person matches the child. So first he uses the photos of Jean-Michel Trudeau and he compares it to the modern day Bridget Macron, and there is a match, a high match. He does the same thing with the communion photo that is supposed to be of Bridget Macron, and he compares it to the modern day Bridget Macron. There's no match. So that's the big piece of evidence. So of course I've left out a lot of details, but I'm just trying to give you the essentials so you can understand what the actual evidence is. Now, up until this point, most of what I've heard from Candace have been a lot of speculation, just a lot of maybes, I wonder, musings. Finally, I heard something that was more concrete with this AI comparison of the pictures. Y'all let me know what you think. Are you, based just on that, are you convinced that Bridget Macron is transgender? I will say that after watching up until episode 5, I now have a better understanding of why people are saying, oh, I believe Candace. But you have to make a lot of mental leaps and bounds to believe everything she is saying, to make this leap that Bridget Macron is transgender. But I'm going to say I can now understand why some people might be buying into this. I have not bought into it. I still don't believe it. I'm still waiting, going to watch episodes 6, 7, and 8 to see what, if any, additional evidence there is. Because the reality is that though that AI tool that was used, it could have been manipulated in some way. I want to see the data behind that. I also left out something very, very important about episode 5. She dives into the rise of Emmanuel Macron in business and in government. And she says it is because of his relationship with the Rothschilds at the bank that he worked for. Now, if you know anything about conspiracy theories, there's a whole other conspiracy rabbit hole you can go down in regards to the Rothschilds, but she is now tying Emmanuel Macron to the Rothschilds. Okay, so let me know what you think. A lot of information up until this point. Are you convinced? Are you starting to be convinced? Are you more curious about Candace's theory?